What's good, guys? It's me, Zoro the Weep, here back again with another video. Okay, sorry for sounding super low. It's early in the morning. Okay, this is my new what if. What if Luffy was transported to Black Clover? I've been trying to make this for over 2 weeks, I think. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Sorry for the low voice. It's pretty early in the morning. Okay, so let me just get straight into it. Yeah, I won't be going off my photos because my computer's not loading them. So yeah, let's start. So this is, I would say, this is okay. This is after Luffy gets hit. Okay, this is a big spoiler. This is after Gear Luffy 5. I think it's right after the new movie that just came out, the Red movie, One Piece Red. It's spoilers from One Piece and Black Clover if you don't know already. It's what if. So yeah, he has his Gear 5. So basically, yeah. I'm gonna be sending him back as a child to the Black Clover world, and with his memories, I'll fill you guys in on what happens, like how he lost his memory and how he became a child again during the future parts. But for now, he goes back as a child. I have a photo already, but it's not popping up. So anyway, as I was saying, Luffy is back as a child, and he says, "How did I get here? What is this place?" Because he was on the he was right by an ocean, and now he just sees long grass everywhere, trees and wilderness everywhere, and he doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't see his crewmates or anyone, and Luffy starts walking around, and it's like he was picking the nose in the picture. I'll add that in. Maybe it'll be the only photo you guys see. Who knows? As Luffy is walking around during daytime, he's reminded of his where he grew up, his hometown, when he was playing with his two brothers, Ace and, okay, I haven't made it to his other brother. I know I can't remember his name, but yeah, I only can remember Ace. Okay, don't judge me. Now, as I was saying, Luffy then keeps walking, and he sees a small village. It's Hage village where Asta grew up with and all the other orphans. And he says, "What is this place? I had never been here when I was younger. But seriously, where do I find my crewmates?" He still has his devil fruit abilities, so he swings his arm over, but he's not used to having his smaller body. He's back to basically being a kid again. So as he swings, he aims for the wrong part of the building, and he hits the brick wall right where the orphanage is at. And Yuno and Asta see this, and they both scream in terror because they just saw a kid just fly into a wall, and he has stretchy abilities. And they don't know about the gum gum, not the rubber fruit. Is it the gum gum fruit? It's the rubber. You know, the devil Luffy's devil fruit power. The gum is it gum gum fruit or rubble? I'll call it rubber fruit. Okay, so they go inside to go get their father and Sister Lily, and as they were doing this, Luffy is now finally getting up, and he says, "Looks like I made those kids run away. But seriously, they were like my only hope. I need to go in after them." But as soon as he says this, they come out and they bring out medical materials, but they see that Luffy's perfectly fine. And they say, "Where's your parents at?" And Luffy says he said basically what his father is. His father is a criminal on a war path, basically. This is Dragon D Luffy. I'm pretty sure our guys told you guys this was a spoiler, so you guys should know. Dragon D, Monkey D Dragon is like a rebel. That's what Luffy says, and Luffy says he doesn't know his mother. And yeah, Asta says, "Oh, that's kind of sad." And Luffy says, "It's all right. I never even met him before. I used to be raised by my grandfather though, and someone else. But he was very mean. He put me down dangerous forests to get me stronger, to become a marine. And everyone looks at not Asta, I mean at Luffy, saying, "What's a marine? You mean a magic knight?" And Luffy says, "No, no, no, a marine." And he basically points out all their details and what they do with the world government and stuff. He talks about all that. And he says, why don't you guys understand what this world government stuff is? But then Luffy was starting to think, what year is this? And they name off their year. I forgot what year is it. It's like X something in Black Clover. And Luffy, it takes place in the 18th century, I think. Or it's after the 18th or 15th century. I don't know. It's between that time when Luffy pirates take place. Anyway, Luffy then's like, he starts screaming in terror. He says, "I'm in the past. This can't be." And he also asks, "Do you guys know about devil fruits?" And they said no. They only know about magic. And Luffy says, "There's magic in the past?" And he's just all shocked, and he says, "I need to get back to my crewmates." And they said he should just relax for now. And that's what he basically does. He eats all up there. He eats all of the food at the orphanage, and yeah, he basically falls asleep. And he wakes up tomorrow, and he goes exploring to see where's the ocean is, to see where he can find it. But he's walking for hours and hours, and he runs into a boar, and he tries to punch it, but he misses because he's smaller again. He doesn't have his good aim no more. And he uses Gum pistol once more, and then he finally hit it. But it took 2 hits for it to go down, and he says, I know I can use that ability." So he has all of his abilities unlocked, but he can't use them properly because his body's too small. And he tries to use his Gear 4. As he tries to use his Gear 4, he passes out because it was too much strain on his body. And Asta finally finds him and pulls him back to the village, and he sees that Luffy's arm was like blackish red. That's a Gear 4. Luffy tried to use it, but it was too much for his body, his younger body. And Asta then explains, "You should become a magic knight. Maybe then you can find your marine friends or those pirates you're talking about." And Luffy says, "How long will that take?" He says, "You can do it when you're 15. And he says, "I'll be gone from them for over 10 years? That's too long." And he says, "You're too weak to fight any live on your own. There's also people with magic in this world. You're not going to live that long to see it." This is what Asta's saying. But he doesn't, but he's still Asta. Like, I know this Asta sounded a little bit smart, but he's just saying what he thinks. He's saying Luffy should get stronger. That's what he's trying to basically say. And Luffy says, "I'm already strong enough. I have a devil fruit power. And I don't even need magic." And Asta says, "That is true. But can you help me get stronger?" And Luffy says, "Oh, sure." And yeah, so a month passes and Luffy starts training Asta. And Asta is not showing any normal abilities. And he says, what are you trying to be? A sniper?" Or he's asking this because he started to remember his crewmates. And he says he wants to be a powerful mage or swordsman. And he says, "Oh, that reminds me of a guy I knew, Zoro. I'm surprised they still haven't found me yet. It's been over a month." And he says, "I guess I really am stuck in the past." And he says, "I really will have to wait decades just to be able to see them. Because I haven't found any portals or nothing to get back to where I come from." And Asta then asks, "How is the future?" And he says there's a pirate age going on, and mostly magic has been lost. And there's only these ancient texts where only one person can read to read about the past. And he thinks Asta is a part of the lost age. That's what he told Asta. And he says, oh no. Okay, the computer turned off. Sorry, guys. Okay, as I was saying, Asta is a part of the Lost Age, and yeah, so basically Asta is just shocked by this. He says, "I'm going to be forgotten Wizard King. This sucks." Yeah, Asta is now going around to telling him he's going to become a Wizard King. And Luffy says, "The Wizard King, what is this?" He says it's the most powerful person in the land. And he says, "Well, I'll help you reach that goal until I get back to my friends, because I still need to become the king of the pirates." And Luffy says, "Why would you want to become the king of the pirates? With your abilities, you'll be a better magic knight than a pirate." And he says, "It's because it's my dream, and I don't want to let his crewmates down." And he wants to help everyone achieve his dream with his crewmates too. But he knows that he doesn't know where they're at, so he's gonna have to believe in them. They will find him, or he'll find them. And yeah, time passes, and Luffy body starts to grow, and as Asta keeps training with him, Asta would be a lot more. Okay, so yeah, my dogs were barking. So anyway, so sorry for the bad edit. So now Luffy and Asta, you know who? Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. That was a bad joke. Please forgive me. Anyway, yeah, so they're now able to do the Magic Night, to get their books, because they're all fit. I mean, I don't even know. Like, because I think Luffy's body now turned 15. He should be able to, like, at least acquire to get a book, but he was, like, about to be in his 20s at in the Kaido, arc, in the Red film, so I don't know. So yeah, Luffy's about to be in his 30s soon, so I don't know. Like in the time skips that happen in Black Clover, he's in his 30s. But you'll see what I'm talking about in the future, like I said. And as Luffy was waiting for his book, he says, "Oh, I can't wait to get a magic book." But he then realizes that he has this devil fruit. His devil fruit powers might not be able to allow him to have a second power. He could explode or something. And then he starts screaming and running out of the place into the forest. He says he doesn't want to explode. And he says good luck to Yuno and Asta. And the same things happen in Black Clover. Asta gets a book, but not right away. His book is just useless. It's just some pageless book. And Yuno gets a 4-leaf clover book, like always. And he Asta runs out, and he is like all shocked and stuff. He says, "This can't be. Where's Luffy? Maybe he can. Maybe we didn't even see if he got a book or not." And he goes after Luffy, and Yuno says, "Looks like I'm the only one with a good book then. Luffy should still be fine though." And then he runs into Revichi. Revichi is this guy right here. And he says, "I would like to take that book from you. Now, don't be hard-headed. Just give it to me. You're now a new book owner, so you don't know how to use that book properly." And Yuno says, "We'll see about that." And Yuno tries to summon his wind, but Revichi dodges it pretty easily, and he grabs Yuno with his chains. And yeah, Asta and Luffy are now back with each other, and Luffy says, "I hear a voice. I know this voice. I heard it before." And he says, "We need to go back to get your book." This is what Asta is saying. "We don't have that much time. What happened if you miss this chance?" And Luffy says, I don't need that book. I need to find, I heard this voice before. It sounds familiar. It sounds like one of my crewmates." But he sees that it's now traveling to the village. He says, "It's traveling to the village. I can hear it." He jumps up with Asta into the trees, and he sees a silhouette with green hair. And you already know who that is. He says, "Can it be?" only, and he said, Asta sees this like he can barely see it with his eyes. He says, "That must be a magic night or something." And he says, "Let's go back to the village." And Luffy uses his stretchy ability, and Asta always finds it fun to like use that Luffy uses his gum ability. And as Asta is falling down, he sees Yuno is being attacked and strangled, and he says, "Luffy." And Luffy is just flying to one direction. He doesn't see Revichi is about to hurt Yuno. It's hurting Yuno. And he says, "Why are you jumping off? What the?" And yeah, Asta jumps off while in the air, and he's about to punch Revichi in a downward motion because he thinks this should be enough to hurt him. And Luffy now lands, and Asta punches Revichi right in the face. And Revichi gets hit down to the ground, but he doesn't get knocked out. He's almost knocked out, but he's able to still use his chains on Asta's leg. And Yuno says, "Where did you come from?" And Asta says, "I come to save you. See, even with that strong book, you're still useless." He's joking when he says that. And Asta tries to punch him again, but Revichi grabs his other arm with another chain, and he says, "You listen here. You don't even have a book. I don't know where you came in flying at, but this doesn't concern you." And he yeets Asta back against the tree. And then he yeets him, hitting the brick wall where it was a stone brick wall or cobble wall he hits Asta into. And Luffy says, "What do you think you're doing?" And Asta says, "Luffy, stay out of this. This is my fight." And Luffy says, "What are you talking about? You're being beaten. You don't even have a sword or a weapon." And Revichi says, "Yeah, he is right. Why won't you listen to your friend? Maybe he can go and call for help." And Asta says, "No, I don't need help. I can do this on my own." And as Asta says this, his anti-magic sword starts to pull out. And Luffy is in shock by this. He says, "What is that?" And he says, it's so cool." And Revichi says, "Oh well, you're pulling out a sword out of your blankless book. How interesting." And as Revichi sees this, he sees Asta is a lot faster now. He says, "What the?" And he's not able to dodge the attack. And Asta basically one-shots Revichi at this point, because he's a lot stronger and a lot faster. Because he trained with Luffy for like almost 10 years. So he would be a lot stronger. And yeah, he calls this gum sort of. Okay, I'm joking. He would just call it I'll call it black slice. Let's call it that. The black divide. It's not black divider. It's black slice. We call it that. And he beats Revichi with ease. And Yuno is now he's unlet loose from the chains, unloosened from the chains, and he says thank you to Asta. But he then punches him and he says, "You should have asked for Luffy's help." And Asta says it's no problem. And then the person right above them says, "It is a problem. This magic knight is useless." And he then tries to cut this magic knight with his sword. And Asta moves him out of the way and he says, "You can't do that. Just arrest him." And he says, "Listen, kid, this is none of your business." And Luffy is looking in shock. He says, "Is that you?" And this person says, "Why do you have that hat? It reminds me of a crewmate I used to run with, but I think he died a long time ago. Are you a descendant of him or something?" And Luffy says, "No, it's me, Zoro, right? Is it you, Zoro?" And Zoro says, yes, but who are you? He says, come on, it's Luffy. And, yeah, this Zoro starts laughing. He says, Luffy, huh? You look nothing like. And then he starts to look closer. He says, oh my goodness, it is you, Luffy. I didn't even recognize you, probably because of those rags you were wearing. I'm surprised you still have that straw hat after how many years now? And Luffy says, yeah, I've turned 15 again, so it's been a long time since I had it. So you had it for almost 20 years now. That's what you're saying. And Luffy says, what do you mean? Times went by while you were growing up again. I'm in my 30s now. I think you should be in your 30s too, right? It's been so much time. It's been over 10 years since we last seen you. And he says, I mean, me. I don't know what happened to the other crewmates. Now that I found you, maybe they're still alive somewhere. But it's up to you now. I can't be a part of the crew anymore. It's been too long. And Luffy starts to get mad at Zoro. He says, what do you mean you can't be a part of the... Okay, sorry for the bad edit. Yeah, like the rest of the audio started clickering and stuff, so... Yeah, so Zoro was gonna say that he's now a captain. He's captain of the Black Bulls, so he can't follow Luffy anymore. And Luffy says, just give up being on captain or something of the Black Bulls. And he says he can't do that. He has to protect all of the Clover Kingdom now. It's not just about being pirates anymore. And the pirate age hasn't even started, because they think they're in the lost century. And Luffy says, okay, fine, I'll make a deal with you. If I defeat you in battle, will you join my crew again? And Zoro says, of course I will join, but it's been 10 years, Luffy. You think I've just been sitting around like you? No, I've been training. I'm the second strongest person in this kingdom. The Wizard King is the strongest. I think I can defeat him, but he has this strange ability to stop time or something. I can't get a read on it. And his grimoire is very huge. He has hundreds of thousands of spells to use that you need to attack him right away to defeat him. I don't know if he whips out all of those spells. I don't know what can happen. That's why I say I'm the second strongest. And he's also, I think he can use sword magic too or something. So that would make him the strongest swordsman. Possibly. But Zoro is now remembering. He says, I do remember hearing some rumors about the Spade Kingdom. There's an archaeologist there. It could be Robin, but I haven't had time to go there. I sent another spy. His name's Lich. He's been confirming stuff though, and he says it's basically a older woman in almost 40 is an archaeologist and helping the Spade Kingdom do unthinkable research. It could be Robin, but I don't know. And he says, yeah. Anyway, besides that. Oh my goodness. My brain. He's also heard rumors of a doctor in the, oh my goodness, not the Spade Kingdom. Is it not the Water Kingdom? Oh my goodness. The other kingdom. I cannot think of the name of the other kingdom. But the kingdom where Lars comes from. That kingdom, it's... Okay, I just remembered what I was saying. Sorry for the, it took me a minute. Okay, it's the Diamond Kingdom. Yeah, so the Diamond Kingdom. This is where Chopper is. So, Chopper and Sanji will be there. You'll see. But he only knows about Chopper, this rumor of a deer thing. Or deer human. I don't know. You'll see. For the future parts. He says, I heard a rumor about that, but I couldn't send anyone there. And Yami says I need to stop worrying about my old crewmates. Unless I have to give down my title. but I don't feel like doing that. And Luffy says, you should have listened to that Yami person. He sounds smarter than you. And Zoro tries to punch Luffy, but Luffy uses his long neck to dodge that punch. He says, you're still the same old Luffy. And he says, well, I will be needing to go back. I've been following this person, Revichi. He's gonna be in jail for a long time. And Luffy says, you're a part of the right side of the law? What happened to you, Zoro? He says, the pirate age hasn't happened, so it doesn't really matter. Now does it? He says, you're going to become a magic knight, Luffy. That'll be the only way you can see me again. And if you defeat me in battle, I'll join your crew again. And Luffy says, that's a deal. And they do a fist bump, and they say, we'll fight Robin and Chopper. And then the other crewmates. He says, we'll see about that. But he says, before I leave, there's a lot you need to know about the Clover Kingdom. There's nobles and lots of other people there that can make your life a living H-E-E-L. Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me. So Zoro says, be careful not to aggravate them. So just keep to the streets and just be normal. Don't act all high and mighty. Because if you act high and mighty, they're going to put you in the strongest parts of the Clover Kingdom Knights if you defeat one of those nobles. And then you won't be able to see me as much. Or be able to find your crewmates, because they'll put you as high priority for saving the Clover Kingdom. Or they'll put you in jail or try to execute you. We don't know. I don't know how the royals work in this world that much yet. But I know they're very sassy. They're worse than the world government. Because there's just less people in... there's basically no world government in this world. Or this time period. I should say. There's just these kingdoms that are just split out. Diamond, Spade, and the Heart Kingdom. And Luffy says, who do you think would be in the Heart Kingdom? And he says, I don't know who would be in the Heart Kingdom. But I heard there's a lot of beautiful water there. It just reminds of water, of the Water City, doesn't it? And Luffy says, oh yeah, I remember Water City. And Asta and Yuno says, what is this Water City you speak of? He says, it's a city that was built on water. So I'm pretty sure the Heart Kingdom is just like that. And Asta says, that's very cool. I wish I could see your other crewmates, Luffy. He says, yeah. But, that's enough talking for now. I'll be seeing you in the capital. You better become a magic knight and join my Black Bulls. And, yeah, Zoro will be the last photo. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get the other photos to work. And Zoro says, meet up with this person right here. They were taking care of me when I first came to this world. And I've been taking care of them back ever since I became a magic knight. And they should be she should be right around your age. Asta and Yuno, I think that's your name. And he says, Rebecca, she has other siblings. They helped me out a lot when I first came here. Now, I'll be leaving now. See you soon, Luffy. And continue to keep doing your dreams of becoming the king of the pirates. And he then leaves and he waves goodbye. And he says, you better train very hard because I'm not going to go easy on you, even though you're my old captain. And Luffy says, when you join the crew, you're going to have to do 100 push-ups again. And Luffy and Yuno, he grabs Luffy and Yuno and he says, you guys are now the newest members of the Straw Hat Pirates. And he says, Asta says, cool, and Yuno says, I'm not a Straw Hat Pirate. And he says, I'll defeat you in submission. You're a pirate now. And yeah, Luffy then trains for another 2 months, and he unlocks a new ability with his Gear 5. You'll see what I'm talking about. but when he fights Zoro. But we'll leave that to the next part. But it's still gonna continue. I'm trying to make it up to the 30-minute mark with this part. Now, as 2 months go by, Luffy goes into the Clover capital, and yeah, Luffy is watched by Zoro. He sees Zoro, and Zoro then waves to him, and he says that he points at that person, and the person, yeah, is Rebecca. Now she's a person from the original Clover world, and that's what Zoro ran into when he first came here. He was lost in he was losing his directions to the capital, and she pointed out where to go, and she showed him the way to figure out where he was at, but he still got lost. So yeah, so he basically was just hanging out. I'm not realizing she was very young. Eh, we don't talk about it. Never mind. Yeah, okay, yeah, Zoro is just he like Zoro is not good with directions. Like he had to get help from a 5-year-old. Anyway, so Asta then sees this person and he says, "Oh, it's just like with our village." And Luffy says, "Yep. I guess Zoro had a family or something." And Zoro hears this and he throws a shoe at Luffy and he says, "That is not." He says, "That's not true." And he then leaves and jumps away. And he says, "What's going on with Zoro? I really miss the old him when he was always grumpy and sleepy. Now he's just all serious now." And Luffy then thanks them, and he then Rebecca shows them to where they would be taking their magic night exams. And Luffy says, "Okay, let's hurry up and head there then." After Luffy eats his portion size of meat, that is. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So Zoro is now with the other captains, and I wish I could show the other captains with Zoro, but yeah, my computer's being weird. And he sees Luffy finally coming in, and Luffy bumps into Yami, and Yami says, "You darn straw hat, you're one of Zoro's old friends, huh? Listen here. If you don't join the Black Bulls and teach them what's up, I'm gonna kill you myself." And he says, "So you must be that Yami guy that couldn't defeat Zoro. How shameful." And as Luffy listened to Yami's voice, he says, "Are you related to Zoro? 'Cause you sound exactly like him." He says, "I'm tired of hearing that. When I get back to being a captain again, I'm gonna teach him a lesson." Okay, I had to drink water for a second, sorry. Okay. And Zoro says to his lieutenant, "Lieutenant Yami, get over here this instant. Stop messing with the straw hat. And he's gonna be under you, underling." And Asta says, well, he congratulates Luffy on being on going to the Black Bulls, but Zoro has something else planned for Luffy for the first battle. You'll see what I'm talking about, but it's time for Asta to battle someone we all know if you know my series or you watch my series. But I also forgot to mention, I'm going to do the first exams, all of them first, then do all of the other ones. So Asta basically can't do any of the magic stuff, and Luffy is also in the same boat. But Luffy does a lot better than Asta does. And then it's time for them to battle. Sake battles Asta. And Sake is being nice at first, but Sake says, I'm sorry. I can't do the I can't do it no more. I don't got the voice for it. I wish I had the voice for it. My voice is just too deep for it. Okay, anyway. Sake is saying, "I get to fight the most easiest person here. Maybe I should fight that Luffy guy. All he can do is stretch his arms. That's only can be good at close combat. and you have to punch really hard to defeat me. So I'll go with the harder opponent. He thinks Asta is a harder opponent, but he still thinks he's going to defeat him because he has no magic. And Luffy says, Asta, don't hold yourself back. Go all out. And Asta says, fine. But before Sake could even say nothing, Asta says, hurry up and get your guard up. I'm going to finish this in one blow. And Zoro looks closely at Asta and he says, that sword. I remember seeing that sword. This is what Zoro is saying. And he says, he could become a good swordsman. And it looks like his stance has improved. Luffy must have... When did Luffy learn about sword stances? And this is what Luffy is thinking. But Zanfel taught him that. You know more about him in the other parts in the future. But Luffy kind of learned a little bit too. But okay, Luffy learned a little bit. He can do a one sword style. Yeah, that's what Luffy can do. But we don't talk about that yet. And as soon as Luffy says that, Asta charges Sake, and Sake says, "There's no use. You can't get past my guard, my cannonball guard. Cannon. It's basically a cannon shell all around Sake." And Asta just dodges the attacks he was shooting from the cannon. And he jumps up into the air, and he says, black sword style. Meteor hammer slash. This is what he says. And he slashes it right in half, and it cuts Sake's arm. It doesn't cut it off. It just cuts him all the way down to his leg. And he falls down to the ground. And he's unable to continue. And Luffy says, you took way too long just to defeat that guy. You have to be faster. And Asta says, well, I can't be that fast. And, like you, Luffy. And he says, yeah. And fights a royal, like, I really don't care about that royal. Defeats him. We don't talk about that royal. He isn't important. Anyway, so it's now time for the final battle. It's Luffy. And Luffy says, okay, who will I be fighting? And Zoro starts laughing, and he says, it's going to be your worst opponent yet, Luffy. You haven't had proper training in a while. So this will gauge your abilities to see if you are worthy of becoming a part of my Black Bulls, Luffy. This is what Zoro is saying, and he says to Zoro, I'm still your captain. Stop disrespecting me. And she then walks out and says, you're not the captain anymore. And you look younger than him, so I don't know how you could be a captain. And she flips her hair and she says, I'm your next opponent. Okay, Okay, sorry for the bad edit. Okay, I was about to say, the picture should have showed up of Noelle, but it didn't. Okay, anyway, so Noelle is going to battle Luffy. And you'll see what happens to Luffy. If you're still watching. If you're not still watching, you guys are mean. Anyway, so Luffy says, oh, okay, I'm gonna fight a woman. Okay. And he says this is like old times, like when he first fought his first person. He can't remember her name right now, because I can't remember her name right now. Okay, the first episode of One Piece. And he starts thinking of Kobe. What happened to Kobe? He should be should be an admiral by now. That's what he's thinking. But then he starts to focus again. And Zoro yells, don't hold back, Noelle. This is Luffy we're talking about. And she says, yes, shut up already. And Zoro starts to get mad, and he says, this is why he starts yelling gibberish, and Noelle ignores it, and she summons her Valkyrie armor. Her Valkyrie armor is basically her most powerful state. Now, you might be wondering, how does she have it so early? Zoro, that's why. Okay, anyway, well, you'll figure that out more. Don't worry about it. Now, anyway, Luffy says, "What is that? Why is she surrounded by water?" And she then speed blitzes Luffy because he's not in none of his gears. And as she's about to swing her water attack at Luffy, Luffy enters gear 2, and he starts swinging with his punches. I forgot what is it called. Gum pistol. Yeah, his gum pistols or gauntlet, you can say. And Noelle flies into the air and dodges him. And Luffy then says, "I can't get hit with that water. I see why Zoro wanted me to fight her, to see if I can now defeat people with there's people with water magic in this world. If I get attacked with their water and get submitted in the water, then I'm useless." And yeah, Luffy uses his third gear and punches Noelle right in the face, and she goes flying into the air, even though she was already flying. And everyone is looking shocked by this. They weren't expecting Luffy to do that, especially to a royal too, because they thought the royal was going to win pretty easily, even though it was Noelle. And she is flying in the air, and she finally gains control, and she says, "I can see why he was a captain." And she starts to stagger, and she says, "No matter." And Luffy says, "Should I use Gear 4? That hit should have been enough to defeat her." But as Luffy he looks up into the air, he sees Noelle coming back down, and she uses her water. I think it's I think it's a kind of like a sword water thing. I guess I'll just call it a spear, kind of a water spear, you can say. And she summons lots of knives to go at Luffy, and Luffy dodges them all, and he knocks one back, and she kicks it right back at Luffy, and Luffy then uses another third gear, his big pistol. I think that's what it's called. And Noelle is barely able to dodge it. And she says, "I finally got you." And she starts sliding around Luffy's hand. But he says, "You shouldn't have not done that." And he swings her closer towards him. He grabs her her waist, and he's about to punch her with another Gear 3 arm. But she summons her water prison. And Luffy is now trapped in her water prison. And Luffy starts to suffocate because he can't swim in water. So Noelle is using water to she put him in a water prison, so he can't move. He tries to use his Gear 3 to hit Noelle unconscious, but she swims a lot faster than he can hit underwater. So Noelle gets out of the water, and she then summons her water dragons. And then she falls down to a knee because she used a lot of magic. It's very hard for her to keep that state because it's the beginning of the series. She learned all that in 10 years. It took her 10 years because it took Zoro a long time for her to learn how to make her control her power. And she then summons the dragons on two sides to trap Luffy in there. And Luffy was trying to get out, but he couldn't. He started suffocating, and he started to lose unconscious. And he tries to summon his Gear 4, but it's too late. He starts to go unconscious. And yeah, he gets knocked out from this because he couldn't get out of the sea prison in time. And Zoro says, "Yep, I expected this." And Noelle then falls back, and she says, "Oh my goodness. If I didn't have this water prison, he would have defeated me easily." And Luffy, Asta and Yuno are shocked that Luffy lost. Yeah, Luffy lost. Okay, like he couldn't get out of the water prison soon enough. If he would have used Gear 4 or Gear 5, he would have most definitely got out and be able to punch her. But he was underestimating Noelle a little bit. And Zoro says, "Well, it's time for me to go wake him up." And everyone was just amazed by that battle, especially the royals. they wanted Noelle, but Zoro says she's already a part of the crew, and Luffy too. I also want that Asta. He's pretty interesting. And everyone else were not looking at Asta, but everyone was looking at Yuno. He says, looks like I can't get Yuno then. It's a shame. So he just basically gets Noelle, Asta, and Luffy. And he walks over to Noelle and punches her over the head. He says, that was too close. I told you to go all out. You should have used that water prison sooner. And Luffy then gains consciousness after being knocked out for 2 minutes. And he gets into his gear 3 again. And he says, okay, I'm ready to fight. That was just a minor setback. And Zoro says, you lost the battle, Luffy. And Luffy is in shock. He says, what? What do you mean I lost the battle? I'm still perfectly fine. And Noelle says, I'm not battling you ever again. And he says, you have to. Give me a rematch right now. And Zoro says, you lost to Noelle, so you have to get over it. You can battle her at a different time. And they all start to choose who they want. And Zoro says, I told you, Luffy, you're not going to defeat me so easily now. It's been over 10 years. You got defeated by a student of mine. This is Zoro laughing. And he says, why didn't you use your gear 4 or something? And Luffy says, I thought I didn't need it. And he starts to get, Luffy's like, I should have used it. Why did I underestimate her? And Asta tries to pat up Luffy on the back. He says, you would have won if you would have used your stronger abilities. Don't just always go all out with your opponents. And Luffy says, yeah, I got too soft. And he then says to Asta, I won't ever lose again. I promise. And Asta says, I won't ever lose either. And they fist bump. And Yuno fist bumps with him too. He says, don't forget about me. And and they all start laughing. And Noelle is like, what is wrong with them? They're all idiots. This is what Noelle is saying. And Zoro says, you're an idiot too. You almost got defeated by someone who only has a stretchy power. So you almost got defeated by a man made out of rubber. I wouldn't say you're that much smarter. And he's always been like that. And he then says, okay, open up the portal. I forgot his name. Okay, I forgot his name for a second. He's the Sanji of the group. I can't remember his name right now. It's not Mar. It's, oh my goodness, how can I forget their names? I'll remember their names for the next part. It's not, you'll see them, for the next part. When Asta has to go through initiation. Anyway, so Luffy, Zoro expected Luffy to do the exact same against Noelle. And he's a lot more interested in Asta now. And he couldn't get Yuno because the other captain of the Golden Dawn chose him. So Yami and everyone else went back to the Black Bulls. And you'll see what happens for the next part. So hopefully you guys enjoy. You'll see the other Black Bulls again soon. I couldn't remember his name. But I know his name. It's... oh my goodness. It's... Venril? Yeah, Venril. Yeah, Venril. Is it Venril or Venril? Venril. I think it's Venril. Yeah, you'll see. You see him in the next part. And you'll also see the goat with black eyes and black and Michael Jackson features. You know who I'm talking about. And Yami will be popping up a lot more too. It was more about Luffy and Asta than Yami. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe. I will be making an Asta series with ReZero soon. I don't know if it's this Saturday or next Saturday. But I'll be making part 2 of this next week. So hopefully you guys enjoy. And this took me over 2 hours. So you guys better like it. Like it. Okay, bye.